Chapter 1038 of One Piece had so many things going on simultaneously, and I just finished the scans, so without further ado, let's talk about what we've been waiting for because it was a break week last week and I know we were all antsy as hell for the next chapter. So Fukurokuju vs Raizo, the stalemate continues there, while the literal walls around Raizo are burning down and he is on fire, but the stalemate continues, which is a bit within this story that I have absolutely loved so far throughout this arc. Raizo's determination, we have to give him credit for it, it is absolutely phenomenal. And as we know, 𝚤𝚎𝚙𝚾 is absolutely burning down as we speak, and thankfully Jinbei saves some people from the Alliance, so we briefly get to see some of Jinbei, but it kind of emphasizes within these few points that 𝚤𝚎𝚙𝚾 is falling and so many people are dying, both beast pirates alike and our Straw Hat Alliance. I'm really not sure what's going to happen to 𝚤𝚎𝚙𝚾 fully and how many people are going to die, but it does not look good for anyone on it. We briefly got to see Tiny Chopper, and Chopper was particularly worried about Zoro. As we know, the recovery serum Zoro took will make his injuries come back way worse because he was briefly able to make his body healthy so he could fight King. And listen, Chopper has every right to be worried. We are briefly brought to Zoro, and he is literally face to face with the Grim Reaper, and I don't think Zoro even knows who the hell the Grim Reaper is because he can't move his body, but the Grim Reaper is right before Zoro, and Zoro is on the brink of death. So I'm unsure why Zoro has such a tough matchup. He fought King, and he did phenomenally, but right now he's faced with the Grim Reaper himself, and I don't think many people can evade death. Obviously, Zoro's not going to die here, but this moment right here did make me giggle throughout the chapter, because I don't know how the hell Zoro gets matched up in these very odd circumstances and dynamics, now literally presented with death. I don't think we've seen the Grim Reaper thus far throughout One Piece, so it's interesting Zoro, the King of Hell, who he just dubbed himself as, now meets the literal King of Hell. Zoro taking this recovery serum and making his injuries prolonged later on kind of reminds me of from Ivankov, what he gave to Luffy during Marineford, but as we know, Luffy has not been affected from that yet, although at the end of his life, I'm sure his lifespan is going to be taken away from those things, but unfortunately for Zoro, this serum was not nearly as good as Ivankov's. Speaking of people on the brink of death, Izo, also on the brink of death, recounts that despite these beast pirates he faced not being that formidable, there is a shit ton of them and obviously she's injured. And as she's going throughout 𝚤𝚎𝚙𝚾, she encounters some CP0 members who even state that they're not going to go after Izu despite her notoriety, but instead they're going to go after the Straw Hats because that's their main objective, and that Izu can just walk away and pretend they never saw each other here. Izo being a member of Whitebeard's crew was full of honor, well I guess minus Teach, but nonetheless, the values Whitebeard instilled in Izu would not be to just simply walk away and run in defeat, but instead to help Luffy and the Straw Hats, and that's exactly what Izu does, and Izu says don't move an inch to these Cypherpole agents he's faced with. Obviously this doesn't bode well for Izu, because especially she's on the brink of death, but this valiant effort will hopefully buy our Straw Hats time, and hopefully Nico Robin will not be taken, because that is what I fear throughout this arc. Another Straw Hat going missing that would absolutely devastate us. We're also shown Yamato's mission, where she finally got to the bombs in time and seemingly stopped Kazibo, and so Kanjuro created it as his final performance to symbolize the burning hatred of the Kurozumi family, which pretty much burns everything as we know. I'm sure you'll all know what that is, but I personally forgot that the name was Kazenbo. A unique name, and the translation is actually pretty spot on, but I don't speak Japanese, so unfortunately it was not as memorable to me in terms of the naming. But nonetheless, our best girl Yamato saves the day and seemingly stops the bomb in clutch fashion as ever. But then we get to the most important part of this chapter, and although a shit ton has happened so far throughout this chapter, the climax is definitely Law and Kid, who seem to actually be dead and defeated in front of Big Mom, and their crew is actually begging for Big Mom to have mercy. And the thoughts of their loss were already in my head. I really didn't anticipate Law and Kid being able to do much versus Big Mom, and I kind of expected their defeat. I didn't think that both Kaido and Big Mom would go down within this arc, narratively speaking, but I was genuinely surprised this chapter. Big Mom specifically stated she wanted to go to the rooftop since she figured Kaido hadn't won yet because he hadn't let out his victory scream. And in hearing this, I was like, oh my god, Luffy is about to have to face two Yonkos simultaneously. God knows if he'll even beat Kaido without any full help right now, but facing Big Mom would be sure death and defeat for the Straw Hats and the Alliance. However, Law and Kid surprised me. Law used his Kroom to literally cut Big Mom through the mouth, which genuinely made me double glance the page, because Big Mom has almost never taken like super visible damage, especially a sword going through her freaking mouth. But Big Mom, being Big Mom, tanked it like a champ. But then Kid also rises from the ashes, who we also thought was possibly dead or defeated, and he pulls in a ton of metal for an ability called Punk Corona Dio and hits Big Mom. And with this duo attack, they yell, "I don't care if it kills us, we're not gonna let you reach the rooftop." The determination of these two supernovas, these two individuals who are essentially rivals to Luffy. Obviously, Kid is the ultimate rival to Luffy narratively speaking in terms of the supernovas, but the determination of these two individuals, I think many of us counted out, was genuinely impressive this chapter. And Kid has a quote that really stuck out to me, and it said, "If you give it long enough, even mountains can be worn down by rain." I'm not even sure if it's really hit us yet, but within this arc, two Yonko may be taken out, Big Mom and Kaido may lose, and I feel with Kid and Law seemingly getting their second wind and really doing damage to Big Mom, which is something that we've been waiting to see. She's powered up, but now Kid and Law are absolutely ready to go toe to toe with Big Mom, and they fear nothing. Kid has obviously already faced emperors before, and Law is no slacker in both facing and being aside worthy enemies and allies. Here we likely have the defeat of Big Mom possibly imminent with the next time we see them fight. As we know, I feel that Onigashima is slowly closing to an end, because obviously all of the all-stars are defeated and roughly most of the plot points and fights are completely concluded, minus Big Mom and Kaido. So if this does transpire and Big Mom loses and Luffy also defeats Kaido, suddenly the balance of power within the world and the Yonko structure will be absolutely changed. And I know some people have been speculating post-Wano whether Law and Kid will possibly become Yonko, and if they defeat Big Mom, that validity stands a lot more, but I'm kind of more towards the side that the Yonko system may be kind of nullified and no longer existent, because after Big Mom and Kaido are defeated, these two absolute god tier characters who have ruled the seas for so long, once they're defeated, I feel like the end game of One Piece is slowly approaching. This chapter had so much stuff going on, and what I am hoping for from this chapter is that Zoro, our favorite green-haired swordsman, is able to do something versus the Grim Reaper himself, or perhaps someone will come save him, but I don't know who that someone is. Obviously, we saw Frankie running throughout Onigashima trying to find Zoro, but given Zoro's sense of directions and the fact that he was fighting so recklessly, God knows where Zoro even is within this giant building. If you enjoyed this chapter coverage, especially since I dropped it almost immediately after the scans came out, please like, comment, and subscribe, as it really does help out my channel and lets me know this type of content is something y'all enjoy. I have a work meeting in about 4 hours, but I decided to stay up and see if I could be one of the first people to cover this chapter. I hope you're all having a good day, and as always, be greedier.